I end up kind of going into an explanation of what the ego is, how it's playing out granular.
There's nothing more masculine to me than seeing a strong man contemplating a book. If you're not reading and literally taking time every week to read, and from the great thinkers of antiquity, contemporary, you're probably underdeveloped. I'm definitely underdeveloped, but I take the time to do this, and there's, this stuff right here, the muscles, it's all a direct reflection of how we try to create a standard in all that we are as men. I feel like that if you aspire to build yourself muscularly, you have to build yourself mentally and with wisdom. It all goes hand in hand in hand. And so I love seeing Jocko contemplating a book. I haven't seen this video. Why subordinating your ego shows confidence, but it's just, I like it. I like seeing a strong dude that's contemplating a book. I just don't see it.
Here we go. Back to the book. Ego is like reactive armor. The harder you push against it, the more it pushes back. Do I get some good credit for legit, that one?
Yeah.
That is
the tankers out there ought to appreciate
that. That is exactly. So true.
Yes.
Someone that's got an ego, like, you might not even notice it until you brush up against it. Then all of a sudden it reacts. Continues on. If I had confronted the CEO, and that goes back to the story, if I had confronted the CEO about his attitude and told him he had a big ego, he would have dug in even deeper. So I did the opposite. I disarmed his ego by subduing my own. Now, this is why I wanted to bring this up today. You might be afraid that if you subordinate your ego, you will get trampled. But that normally doesn't happen, because subordinating your ego is actually the ultimate form of self-confidence. And I think that...
Did you hear that? It's an interesting perspective.
Line right there is one of the lines when I was writing this book. I just took a screenshot of it and texted it to you, Dave. I was like, that line right there. Yeah. Because subordinating your ego is actually the ultimate form of self-confidence. That level of confidence earns respect. So while the initial thought or feeling might be that you back down, you've actually shown that you have the strength and confidence to give the other person credit, and they will recognize and respect that confidence either consciously or subconsciously.
Boom. It's a really unique vantage point. I'm interested to see what he says. It'd probably be better if I reacted afterwards, but it's powerful, because as men, we all have, an ego. We all have a persona a bit, and so we upregulate different things, and some men carry it more than others. And I think what he's suggesting here is know that some men just play it up a bit more. And so when their ego is kind of a bit, remember, most people's egos do not come out unless they feel threatened. Okay. So they're not going to showboat as much or take up space as much unless they feel threatened. And that's what he's suggesting here is the ego, the guy who can check his own ego when he feels another man that's at his level. He doesn't need to assert his ego or his dominance, that he can allow the other man to feel big, but because he doesn't feel threatened by his ego, he garners respect from the guy who's acting out, because that's acting out behavior, masculine behavior. He's basically essentially unconsciously, but I think consciously too, going oh, I can tell that this guy is not, he's allowing these things to happen, but I can tell that he's a strong dude, but he's not doing normal dude stuff back, which is showboating as well, or taking up space, or talking loud, all the normal mannerisms with dudes to show that they're superior. He knows his intrinsic value, and so he just subdues his own ego and pays the hostility, because it is a little hostile. People's egos are a little hostile. No mind. And he gains respect for it. So I think this is in the same wheelhouse.
They feel it. Give back down.
Rewind.
Respect. So while the initial thought or feeling might be that you back down, you've actually shown that you have the strength and confidence to give the other person credit, and they will recognize and respect that confidence either consciously or subconsciously. They feel it. They feel it. Echo Charles, when you're getting ready to roll jiu-jitsu and you have never rolled with this person before and you lock up with them, you know, right? You can feel it. And now, whether you want to admit it or not, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what this does. When someone says, hey, you know what? Go ahead and run with that. And Dave might think, well, that's right. That's right. I'm going to run with it because my plan was better. And in the back of his mind, he thinks, man. Yeah. And like when someone says, oh, you want to start a cross side? That's basically what you're saying. That's basically what you're saying. You want to start in a dominant position? Go ahead. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh, cross side. That must be a position starting in jiu-jitsu. I don't really know martial arts and the terminology, but yeah, I think that's what he's suggesting here.
And with me, I'm so confident in my jiu-jitsu that you can basically start anywhere. You can start in a totally dominant position and I'm going to be fine. When you subdue your ego, when you subordinate your ego, that person, you might be thinking, I'm going to start on the mountain. I'm going to kill you. Yeah. And you think that, right? And you feel powerful. But in the back of your mind, you're thinking, ooh. Maybe subconsciously you're thinking, wow, this person is confident. This person knows.
He's taken another metaphor and assimilating basically the same thought, that there's something powerful about subduing the ego, just like in meeting a guy and he needs to assert his dominance. You know where that comes from because you'll find yourself doing that from time to time because but if you've checked it, you know you've been there before. You were doing the same shit when you were less secure in who you were. And so you respect the process of where that person is. And hopefully he turns it around, right? Unless he just feels the need to strut the entire time and act like a turd. You're subduing your ego should subdue his ego. And so then there's a synthesis there. A synthesis together, and you just kind of bond, and you have a certain level of respect for each other, and that it subdues the threat, I think.
Knows that they're going to win.
Yep.
And so that's the same thing that happens here. Hey, you know what? Why don't you go ahead and run with this? And you go, yeah, that's right, I won. And in the back of your mind, you think, man, Jocko doesn't even really, he doesn't even care where this ends up.
The word subordinate is such a good word because when you tell people to check your ego, it's like, okay, I can check my ego. But if you're the type of person that reads the word subordinate and it bothers you, you are the person that's being spoken to right now because your ego says, I am not going to subordinate because it's submissive or it has this feeling of, that's why that word is actually so good because most of us.
Some people who grew up in environments, especially as kids, that they were always a fighter. They had to be a fighter or they were gonna shit on. And so sometimes we bring that into, and they take on usually sometimes really hostile environments or career fields where they always have to have that ego and dominance and no one's with them. And so they're always on that edge a little bit. And I think that's who they're referring here to, is like some people just, they don't know what that means. And I think that's what he's expressing here.
Don't want to do that. No. I don't like that word subordinate. I don't want to subordinate. I don't want to be submissive or passive. That word is awesome because if you feel yourself right now reading that going, I don't like that, read this again and again. And because it's actually what you need to do.
And check this out. If you're reading this and you're going, I don't want to subordinate my ego because I'm powerful, then read the next part, which says if you're truly powerful, you got no problem doing it. I don't need. Guess what? Hey, you know what? I don't need to be the star of the show because I'm just gonna be over here.
If you need to act like the alpha, we already know you're not the alpha. We already know that you feel threatened, and so you're acting out. And so a man who is confident in who he is, he doesn't have to be threatened by that behavior. And I think that's what this is suggesting, is that, you know how to subdue your own ego. You know that your ego is part of your persona. It's that need to show, well, maybe everyone else is thinking that, like, I gotta like step. And so that's all ego. But when you have a self-assurance and that just an inner trust, it works itself out. And that's what they're suggesting here is it's a different take for a man to do, especially a very hyper-aggressive man. And I think there's nothing wrong with hyper-aggression as long as you can control and maintain it. I think every man needs to, like Jordan Peterson says, needs to be an absolute animal. I think there's another word he uses. It needs to be absolutely dangerous, but then subdue it. As a man, you need to know that you're an absolute threat, because there's things that happen in life that are unfair. Criminals, murders, and maybe one day you'll have to step up to the plate. And I think every strong man wishes for that moment, because he knows he just it flips the script. It's like game mode, full send, full permission, full I get back on that football field and I can unleash the beast. And like, there's not a lot of moments in time to do that. And maybe that's why these guys like jiu-jitsu. It's been a long time since I've done martial arts. I did some in my 20s, but maybe that would be a good outlet for me. Just be a full send type of guy. Like, I think I need to exert myself like that. The more I think about it, I think you need a safe space to be able to do that. Anyway, I got on a tangent here, but let's get back to the video.
And it's going to be fine. You guys can you can pay attention to the other guys. That's cool. I'll be over here and I'm good with that. I don't need to say anything. I don't need to start in the best position. I'm good. I'm confident. I've been doing this game for a long time. We're good. It continues on. So after I say either they will recognize and respect that confidence either consciously or subconsciously, it says, and that is the truth. To put your ego in check, to subordinate your ego, you must have incredible confidence.
Bingo.
If you find you cannot put your
The word I've been using is self-assurance, but confidence is synonymous.
ego in check because you're afraid it might make you look weak,
Exactly. I told you what other people think.
then guess what?
You're
You
weak.
are weak.
Yep.
Don't be weak. Subordinate your ego, build relationships, and win the long game.
Dang!
That's a pretty important chapter
Dude.
in this book.
That's huge.
If I can find what book this is, I'll leave it in the description below and let you guys know, because it sounds like it'd be a really good book to read.
I mean, that gets to the core of what infects almost everything we do. There almost isn't a problem in the world that exists in your life that isn't connected to your ego. And that is the lesson for that. And the amazing thing about that is that not only are you strong if you can do that, you just start winning everywhere. You just start winning everywhere in life. You just start winning when you do that. When you look around and go, oh, no factor, go for it, do that.
Yep.
You win. Life gets so much better when you're able to do that.
Just let it go.
Dang!
And the supreme confidence. This is the weird part.
Supreme confidence.
The supreme confidence that exudes.
Damn, bro.
When you go, oh, you want to take lead on this? Cool, go for it. Cool.
Yeah. What can I do to help?
Yeah. What can I do to support you? Sounds like you got this handled. What can I do to help? The supreme confidence that exudes is powerful.
It's true. When you got two dudes that have ego and they don't know how to subordinate it, they start ego checking each other and it gets pretty fucking ridiculous real quick. They start acting like children. It's really honestly pathetic.
Kind of like when someone gets in your head on the map, right?
Yeah.
When they go, cool, you can start wherever you want, bro.
Guys, I'm going to end the video there. I watched another minute or two. I didn't really feel like there was a lot to comment on. But if you'd like to watch the full video, links in the description. Thank you so much for checking this out. If you like the channel, the reaction commentary, feel free to give this video a like. Feel free to subscribe. And I will definitely catch you guys on the next video. Thank you so much for your time.